Welcome to our training session on dynamic variables. Dynamic variables allow you to update your variable data outside of AppVerify. This makes it easy to update with new data before an execution. Using dynamic variables moves functionality from AppVerify into the variable file, things like adding and removing test cases, etc. We'll take a look at that in more detail in a bit. First, let's look at some concepts around the dynamic file itself. First of all, the file must be on the same machine where AppVerify is installed. If you're using an Excel file and it has multiple sheets in it, the variable sheet must be the active sheet in the workbook, and this is just whatever sheet you are on when you save and close the file. The file must have headers that match your variables. You can use an Excel file even if Excel is not installed on the AppVerify machine. However, you will not be able to edit the file from the machine. You will need to edit it elsewhere and copy it back to the machine. And all data must be present. If a value is not present, the variable is considered empty. If you want to use the same value as the default test case, then you must enter it. First, let's look at global variables. By default, the variables are static. I go into this screen to update them. If I want to change to dynamic, I have two options. I can use an existing file or have AppVerify create a new file for me. I have already created an Excel file for my global variables. I don't have Excel installed on this server, so I created the file elsewhere and then copied it here. To use an existing file, I need to know the full path to the file and include the file name. After setting the file I want to use, I click Save. Now the variable data that appears is read-only. After changing to dynamic variables, any changes I want to make to the variable data must be made in the file. Since I don't have Excel installed, I'll edit the file on another machine that does have Excel and then copy it back to the server. After updating the data in the file, when I open the test plan, I can see the updated data appears. Next, we'll take a look at process variables. Just like global variables, they default to static. This time, however, instead of using an existing file, we'll have AppVerify create a new file for us. I'm going to copy the path and file name so I can quickly access the file. After that, I need to save it. Now let's look at the file. It's a CSV file, so I can edit it on the server. After making the changes that I want to the file and saving it, we can open up the test plan and see that the changes that we just made are visible here in AppVerify. In addition to changing the data, we can add new test cases just by adding a new row. The new test case must be given a name and test case ID. The ID can be whatever you want it to be, it just has to be unique to this file. To save time, I'm going to copy an existing row and paste it into the new row. From there, I can edit it. If we open the test plan, we can see the new test case has been added. After changing to dynamic variables, the data that displays on this page is now read-only. If we look at step 3, the new test case appears. When using dynamic variables, you no longer need to generate test cases, and any existing test case that had a validation assigned has been retained. Let's add a validation to the new test case. Again, we'll edit the file to add a new test case. If we look at the test case where we added the validation, we can see that the validation was retained. To remove a test case, you delete the row from the file. If we look at the test plan, we can see that the test case has been removed from the test plan.